I'll be as quick as I can so we can have as many questions as I can. But just in relation to Deputy Healy's point about ministerial responsibility, the Scally report is very clear that I didn't know. So whilst I didn't cause this problem, I absolutely have responsibility in the office that I hold to fix it and to make sure that the recommendations are implemented in full, and that's what I want to do. This is a scandal about women not being told. What Dr. Scally called a laudable audit in terms of its objective, being absolutely botched in terms of its execution and the pain that it caused. I take Deputy Connolly's point about it not being the job of people in the Oireachtas to promote screening. But there were people in the Oireachtas, and not you, Deputy Connolly, who did allow situations to sit out there that labs were not safe. And I don't know about you, but the biggest number of queries I got into my office, the biggest number, was women emailing me, and the biggest I got from women I know in my own life. If I get my smear taken today, is it safe, the lab it's going to? And Dr. Scally, who we asked to do a job, said yes, it is. And I think that's a really important point for us to make. Implementation is what you've all focused on. Implementation is absolutely the key to this. And people ask me what's going to be the implementation structure. Dr. Scally has offered to stay here for the next 12 months, or to continue to work, if you like, rather than stay here, but to continue to work on the delivery of the recommendations and overseeing, from an external point of view, the delivery of those recommendations. I've taken him up on that offer, and I intend to meet him in the next week or so to finalise how best to do that, but patients will be involved. I would suggest, he's already been invited by the chairman, that Dr. Scally would attend the health committee. I know he'd be very willing to do so, and I'd suggest that perhaps the Oireachtas, through the health committee, could maybe play an overseeing role as well in making sure that we are making progress and sending reports and the likes to that. In terms of the timeline, I intend to keep to the timeline as envisaged by Dr. Scally's report, where he asks me to publish a full implementation plan for all 50 recommendations within 3 months, which is December, and that is the timeline that I'm working to. Deputy Smith, I don't like being adversarial on this, but you did say outsourcing is at the heart of this issue. It's not. It's factually not. So we can't have our own facts. You can believe, and you have every right to believe, you can believe that we should insource our screening. You should believe, you can believe, and you do believe that we should do it here in Ireland. That's a perfectly legitimate view. I believe that I'd like to build up capacity to do it in Ireland too. But outsourcing is not at the heart of this scandal. Because to say that allows it hang out there that women should have doubt. And Dr. Scally, who quite frankly knows a hell of a lot more than you or I do, reviewed 12,800 documents. He or his team visited the labs and they interviewed all the key people, and they said, 4 doctors, a senior counsel and a barrister, they said that the labs today are safe. So outsourcing, yes, so outsourcing is not at the heart of this scandal. So we can have ideological debates about outsourcing all day long. But at the source of this scandal is non-disclosure of personal information, women's information that was withheld from. That's the scandal. So let's be clear on that. In relation to open disclosure, yes, we need legal changes. Deputy Shortall is entirely correct, and I will work with you and anyone else in this House to make sure it does need to apply to individuals. They didn't do this in the UK. They watered it down. We needed to apply to individuals, and I believe the institution. That is my intention. It's Dr. Scally's recommendation. I will work with you and others to make sure that happens. But I think, as we've all said, we don't just need legal change. We need cultural change as well. Because whilst it mightn't have been had a legal underpinning, the policy of open disclosure clearly wasn't implemented and indeed was contradictory. So we do need a cultural change. I don't buy into this narrative, and no one's suggesting that we're going to blame all our doctors, that all doctors are bad. We have many dedicated healthcare professionals. But the ones who said what we read in that report, and the ones who said the things that Deputy O'Reilly illustrated to me when she brought the transvaginal mesh women to see me, the people that speak to women like that have let us all down and have let their profession down as well. So we do need a cultural change as well. There will be further investigation. Let me be clear on that, because Dr. Scally is clear on that. And I don't have it in front of me, but from my memory, there's at least 3 places that he calls for further inquiry. The CPL lab, pre-2012, not used today. Can't let anyone suggest it is. That's one. The issue of procurement in general, he's not suggesting anything was illegal, but there's clearly more work that needs to be done on procurement and contracts. And he also makes the point about having a common data set so that we can all see across, that we have the same kind of data being put out about all our labs in a transparent way. On the issue of leaking, Deputy MacDonald asked me about this. Let me just say, whoever leaked that is absolutely cruel. Absolutely cruel. I have spent, and I don't speak for the patient advocates, I, like so many of you, have gotten to know these people extraordinarily well. I believe obviously the report was not leaked. but somebody who knew something about some element of the report leaked it. It suggested that was the report. It caused huge upset, and it was absolutely cruel to do that. In relation to governance, I agree with the points about the HSE board. I agree with the fact that there needs to be 2 patient reps on it. I think we need to use this report now as momentum in terms of delivering on that. Deputy Connolly asked me about, and Deputy Kelly perhaps, about the continuance of audit. So Dr. Scally said the idea of an audit is laudable. We all get that. We know the way it was done was so poor. There are 2 key recommendations on audit in his 50 recommendations, recommendation 26 and 27. It says that patients effectively must be at the heart of developing and designing audits. So we will work to deliver that before audit recommences. It's really important that audit is gotten correct and we don't see repeats of the mistakes. And finally, can I just say, on the issue of political mishandling, I think Deputy Shortall makes a fair point, and I include myself in that. Mistakes were made by all, including me. I think many of us made mistakes trying to do the right thing, but I think there are serious lessons for all of us on all sides of this House, and indeed for elements of the media, in terms of how we deal with an issue in a calm, rational manner and establish the facts, which is what the people affected always wanted to have.